Awesome. How are you going?
I'm good. It's I've had a really interesting few weeks just focusing on the PhD.
How's
So
that going for you?
it's going really well because the key, like, it takes months to even apply for one, right? So I haven't even been accepted or anything. I haven't even put in my proposal. So first you've got to find a supervisor that believes in what you're doing and is willing to back you up. So that took me about 5 months to find someone.
Okay.
And I emailed people right across every university saying, hi, this is me, this is the stuff I've done, this is what I want to do. Nothing. Like, people that are getting paid to sit there at universities don't even check their emails. So anyway, I kind of believe spiritually he was the right person, right? Because I met him at a party for a friend.
Yep.
And we got talking. So it was really, I never even emailed him. Maybe he would never have emailed me back anyway, but I met him and we connected and he really believes in what I'm trying to do. So, this week we're working together on a paper to present at the end of the year at a conference of academics looking at superannuation and retirement. So I'm really excited. Like, things, even if we don't get into that conference, I reckon I'll still write a paper on it and publish. So it's just putting us on that track of really focusing on trying to understand, can we build an index that tells us 10 to 30 years in advance that which Australians are going to be insecure in retirement?
Yeah.
It's that hard, right? Like, we should be able to work this out. And unfortunately, as you and I have talked about before, the really critical thing is people owning their own home at retirement. If you don't own your own home, I don't know how you're going to fare if you don't have a home to live in.
There's so many issues which we'll go into. Just have a quick chat about, and this is why we're doing what we're doing. We're going to build this little bit of a community, which we've done, which is great, just to give out information. And we'll get I've got a couple of guests that will want to come on just to rack our brains and give out the information that we need. In the last 4 weeks since we did our last one, Annie, what are you thinking? What's going through your head after we really step forward with what we're doing? We're looking for Australia's future. We're looking for, I guess, well, not even wealth creation. It's not about, we're going to create wealth. We're actually trying to give people,
Trying to survive.
Oh, okay. Yep, you called it.
Literally, we are trying to survive, right? To not be homeless and poor when we've worked out. I'm going to cry, Jesus. You've worked your whole life, right? I don't care what job you've had, a cleaner, a builder, a self-employed. I really don't care, but you have worked your entire life. And the one breath that you take is towards, retirement. And you can take a breath and you can breathe and you can look after your kids or you can look after other people at that point and yourself. That used to be the case. We can't barely look after ourselves in retirement now because they just messed it up. Like, first of all, they never thought of women stopping and not having enough super. Plus, they had this ideal thing that everyone was going to be married. So you have a couple, so you can pull your super together in retirement and you can, have a home together or whatever. What they didn't account for is casualised work, freelancers, self-employed. We don't give ourselves enough super. I've just been lucky because I've worked for other people most of my life.
Yeah.
But every time I've been worked for myself, I've barely put anything in because I can't afford to, and that's really dangerous. So that's one thing. The other thing is people get divorced at all ages and that decimates for both men and women.
Yep.
Right? This is not just about women. It's also about men.
Absolutely. Humanity, isn't it? Humanity as a whole.
And then redundancy. And what we're seeing since I spoke to you, right? Like, there's been a whole lot of articles or posts on LinkedIn saying, redundancy and it happens in your 50s and it's terrible. And then I go in and I go, no, it's happening in their 40s. And all these people back me up. People are being made redundant from jobs in their 40s. Now, 40s and 50s are the peak of your career. So if you're not able to make the money to put the super away, what chance have you got to get up to this idea that the superannuation funds think is about 700 to 800 grand at retirement? And that's assuming you own your home. So
can I just jump in there? Got Oz. Oh, sorry, I've just got to go on the side here. Oz Sandy Kane. Thanks very much for your comments. They haven't done their tax yet. Look, with regards to, you know, the side hustle and land tax and all that stuff that's been happening, I think just to inform people, especially in Victoria, what they're trying to do, because, you know, it is what it is. They're taking more and more money, and my partner in crime here is exactly right. They asked us to go, oh, make contributions or that, but how can you make contributions when there's no money because you're giving it all to government?
It's so hard to put any money away. Like, it really, really is. I'm finding it really hard. And I'm going to be very honest, like through the last couple of years when I haven't been working full time anymore, I've relied on my credit cards. So right now I'm trying to get rid of my credit cards so that I can focus on saving again. I'm 59, right? I don't have 30 years to go, right? And this is why, like, I really try and get younger people in their 40s, even in their 30s, but 45 and up, you've got 20 years before retirement. So you've got time to plan and work towards what it is that you need to get to, whether it's, you know, buying a home with, you know, a sibling or a friend or whatever. If you're single, you know, putting a little bit of extra money in your super, whatever it is. But, you know, you said it's not wealth creation, and I know we feel like it's such a dirty word, but it is. And it's not even wealth anymore. It's just survival, as we said.
Exactly. Exactly right. And I said, and I had a few comments during when I put our lives up. People are struggling out there. As we can keep saying, we can keep regurgitating what we've already know, but what our knowledge between us, what people need to know now is a solution to why we're doing what we're doing. And I think the most important thing is to gather people's thoughts and gather people together and get them on the same page. And I think that, and get the information out, isn't it? That's right, isn't it?
People need to look after themselves, right? Like my business partner in Prime Life Partners, Abby, says it's BYO and DIY all the way. Care,
absolutely.
health.
Oh, that's true, isn't
we
it?
have to take responsibility, right? Because no one is coming to save us. The government's not coming to save us.
No.
Our employers, you know, if you have one, are not coming to save us. Everyone's just needs to look into what they've got and what kind of retirement they want, right? Like, do they want to live, you know, in a regional area? Do they want to live in the city? Like, whatever. They need to start thinking about that and planning, because 20 years goes like that. You know, it just goes like that, man. I can't believe how fast time goes. So it's all in just being aware of what you've got and what you can do, you know.
Okay, so we're going to, as I said, we're going to start. This is going to be once a month. We know this. We're going to get a lot of people on. Okay, people want to come on and talk about this. What do you suggest in regards to super? I mean, all your studies in super, it was a magnificent one you did, and we just looked and going, people can't afford their houses. I mean, have a look at Victoria at the moment. Side hustles for land tax. That's what they're doing. Plus, they're paying the country fire authority. They're putting land tax on that. So they're trying to bleed people dry that way. So if you've got a side hustle, for example, maybe a hairdressing salon trying to earn some extra dollars or whatever, they're going to pay land tax on that if you're doing it from your own house. I can't. And thanks, Sandy K, if I'm getting it right. Thanks very much for getting involved and spread this far on why we want more and more people to come on and express their stories. What are the solutions? What are the solutions for you, Addie? What are some of the things that you and me are aware of that we can let people know? What do we do? What do you suggest?
Look, I'm not a financial advisor, so I can't give any.
No, that's right. Just before you start, this is not financial. This is all personal opinion.
Yeah.
Okay, this is what we're going through. You know, everyone goes, "Oh, you need a bit of financial." No, this is just an opinion. And what we'll always say at the start of every video, which when we do release this fully, is we'll give you some info, but do your own research. Please do your own research. We're not advising, so there's a disclaimer. Sorry to interrupt you there, Annie.
No, that's okay. So first thing is have a look into your super. If you don't own a home, really think about that. Yep. I know that there's people now buying property with family, like with siblings or cousins or whatever, just to get in the market, right? Because it's just so hard. I was at Kmart the other day, and I got to chatting to one of the managers, and we just got to talking, and believe it or not, we got talking onto super. And Kmart is getting really active, and I'd say really big employers like that are bringing in the super companies to talk to people about what they need and all that. This guy's on $90,000 a year. He's a manager. And him and his partner have saved $100K. Can't buy anything.
Wow.
Cannot. They've saved $100,000, right?
Wow.
And you just go, they live in a nice tiny apartment that they're renting.
Yep.
And they're worried that eventually the owner wants to sell and they can't afford to buy in the same area. And that's the dilemma for a lot of people. But you just have to understand, right? And this is what the PhD is finding, is that it's not poor people that are ending up in trouble anymore. It's middle class. It is the middle class that is getting into trouble.
Do you get these people coming out, right, to talk about super? And obviously I've got my friends at Beat the Reset with Tim Manga. We got Sam from Liberty Bullion, who are bullish about, and obviously the crypto thing, which I'll leave that out for the minute because people are sort of, I mean, even though I believe in it, but I think I've been educated into gold and silver, and gold and silver's gone up 35 to 40% in a year. Now, physical commodities to create wealth to help you in your future is why I went that way, because I was doing exactly what you said. So I looked at my options. What do you think about what are you thinking about that, Eddie? Because they're coming, the super funds are coming out, which is great, and we have an agreement which we know that we do need to save for our future, which you and me are doing, right?
Yeah.
Which you and me, and this is why we do what we do, because we care about people's future.
Look, you can get a financial advisor, and I know people think it's out of their reach. I got one at the end of last year, and I think it is really, really important. Like, I told him what I could afford, and that's what we're working on. Yep. But basically we're looking at everything. And it's interesting when someone's not you, because you're in this panic going, oh shit, like, am I going to be okay?
Yeah.
When someone's not you, like what he saw when I put everything on these spreadsheets, right? And people can do this on their own. I'm just not savvy enough to do it on my own.
Yeah, fair enough.
To really push me, right? Otherwise, I'm just not going to do it. I hate doing my finances. So he found that I had, maybe, I don't know, 10 grand in small shares here and there, right? Just little bits like NRMA or IAG or whatever. Yes. And I didn't even realize that.
Wow.
So he said, oh, look, what we can think about is pulling that out and putting it somewhere else, right? Like maybe investing in something else. So, if you've got that kind of money that you didn't even know existed, right? And that's what I'm stressing here. Money that I didn't even know existed because I'd forgotten about it. And someone looks into it and goes, hey, like that's a good amount of money for you to invest in something else, right? So, it's choices, but it's also having the right advice at the right time. As I want to stress, I'm 59, so I really have to get cracking. I don't have a lot of time left. I've got 5.5 years left before I'm 65. So I've really.
Can I ask you? So there's a piece of advice for today, ladies and gentlemen. I think not just what Annie said about, I don't like doing my finances. I mean, people get scared doing them. I can tell you, they go to the tax and all that stuff. So you can see it. But
what happened to bookkeepers? What happened to? I want a bookkeeper, right? Because they're the forensic people that go into your spreadsheets and allocate everything and whatever. And I can't do that. And that's what you're expected to do now because MYOB. No.
But this is what's happening, Annie. They're trying to push everything to AI, and then we don't have any jobs for people because we can't pay them because we're paying the government tax and stuff. But the piece of advice I would say is have a look into your super. But I mean, how many people, you're doing a PhD in super.
People don't because
people don't look at it, do they?
They don't look at it until they're like 60 or something, generally. That's right. It's not encouraged to, it's just something that's put away. So, but again, it's fine if you're in a job that someone's paying it for you. But if you're self-employed and you're a contractor, right? So every time I've been a senior policy advisor to ministers, I've been a contractor, right? You're there for the life of the minister or the government of the day.
Yep.
Right. So it's not a permanent job in the public service. It's a good job and it's very well paid, like very well paid. So, you know, I was lucky enough to have that. But then there were breaks in between where I was freelancing or I was doing different jobs.
Yep.
And so, you know, I didn't have 30 years of continuous super. Plus I had 2 kids. So I had to stop at some point. Then I got divorced and I had to start all over again, as did my ex-husband.
This is the thing, Annie. We keep coming back to it. Be aware. I mean, if we give any advice today, the advice is to look out for yourself. I mean, I have awareness with the Robin Hood effect. Be aware of yourself, which we try to do, you know, the spiritual side of things. But that goes on to actually being aware and being, you know, looking at other people, looking at options, but knowing what's going on in every single aspect of your life. If you consider yourself a business in some ways, you go, I've got to know what's going on and have, you know, people go, oh, it'll be all right. But really in these situations, it's not really going to be.
No. And, you know, I think what's important is ask people, you know, ask your friends what they're doing, you know, start the conversation.
Yes.
You know, do you have a financial advisor? Can you recommend someone? Because that's really the best way to find one, right? And I found one through someone that I knew that had this guy as a financial advisor.
Awesome.
You know, so, you know, you talk to people about it. You know, it's a serious matter. Everyone's in the same boat. And what horrified me is I went to this conference and my hero, who's done so much research in retirement income, basically, you know, someone said, oh, but, you know, how long is super going to last? Like, given that we're living so much longer, you know, like that, the average person or the middle class person, how long is their super going to last? And she turned around and she said, oh, everyone's going to end up on the age pension. And my heart just sank because the whole point of super was avoiding the age pension, leave the age pension to the people that really need it, you know, and the rest of us who can work and who have been able to build some life can look after ourselves. But it looks like we're all going to end up on the age pension.
Well, this is the whole point too. I've just got a question. Sandy Kane, thank you so much for being involved here. As I said, we're really excited about giving out this info. We're going to bring on different people. They said bring on people who have. And so I've got a few people that I will bring on in different areas. So this is the knowledge, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be bringing on bullion broker Sam Laurie. I've already asked him. He'll tell us why you go that way. And this is the info. I think. Can I ask your opinion? And this is what I get a lot of from people, and it annoys me in a way. It's like, especially in this country, if you don't have a degree, your life experience means nothing in some ways, where they sort of question it unless you've got some sort of backing of some sort, like whether you got a PhD or something like that. I mean, you see a lot of...
Listen, it's
what do you think?
Right, because it's not like intelligence is not based on you being able to do an exam or write an essay, right?
Exactly
like
right. Exactly what I was getting at. Exactly.
And even now with the PhD, they want to see a transcript of my academic record. I mean, I'm 59. I have worked my ass off. I've written so much stuff, but they want to see my academic record.
It's ridiculous, isn't it?
100 years ago. And you know, that to me is like, oh my God, I'm going back into that old world of where, you know, my life experience will be accounted for, but the first thing they want is my academic record, which was not stellar. Like, I'm not, you know, I'm a distinction person, but not a high distinction person.
But this is the whole point, and this is what I'm saying to you. So we've got a lot of people, we know a lot of people who have been successful. What I want to get out, and this is the awareness side of the Robin Hood effect for me, is people's experience counts.
Of course,
and that annoys the absolute. I was going to say it annoys the shit out of me when people go, "Oh, you have to go and get your facts from this person." You know what? How about you do your research and talk to people with experience who have been experienced in the industry, or in an industry, or even a life experience. Especially when we're talking about, like I talk about super and stuff like that, and where I've gone, where they've gone, how the hell did you get to that? And why are you doing that? I go, well, these are the people that I'm going through. These are the experts. They still don't understand. Sorry about that. Just got a missed call. Sorry about that one. it really annoys me. So what I want people to do, if we get anything out of this live today and what we're both saying, I mean, you have a look at academic record, all those guys. It doesn't matter where you get your info. You don't take anyone's word for it. You do your own research. At least it gets you critically thinking.
And, like, it's not that hard to gather information anymore, right? Like, I remember I used to have to go to the library, right, and look up the
Go through and flick through all the stuff.
No, dude, I'm so old. I know what a microfiche is.
Oh,
right. And we
I remember when they were flicking through the cards to find a book. So there you go. That's my age, eh?
Exactly. So, you know what I mean? People are so blessed these days because you've got access. There is misinformation as well. And that's why you do your checks and balances, right? You gather your information, find someone to talk to, ask, people to refer you to someone. Most people will give you that first appointment for free, like 30 minutes or whatever for free to talk about whether they're the right person for you. And, if you're clever with spreadsheets, this is the best advice I saw from someone on LinkedIn. They did a post about redundancy and, they thought it was mid-50s and now they accept it's like mid-40s. And they said, like, you're not a failure. You're not a failure. This is happening to so many people across so many different lives. And the first thing that you do is you gather your finances, get together all your bank statements and have a look at where your money's going, and reduce everything that's not necessary. And she kept repeating, you are not a failure. You are not a failure by doing this. You are just tightening your belt. You're looking at what's going on and you're getting rid of unnecessary expenses.
And you're being aware of everything, isn't it? Like, as I said, as I said to you, if you want to be aware of anything, I mean, it's just, look, as I said, being aware of yourself and everyone's getting better and all that spiritually, but you still have to be aware financially and everything like that. I mean, you look after your physical health. What about your other financial health is what we're talking about. And if we get anything out of this, ladies and gentlemen, it's get your finances in order and do it yourself to start with.
Yeah.
Do it yourself. And the thing is, it's quite simple, isn't it, Annie? Like how much money is going out. I mean,
Oh my God. So there's an app that I ended up subscribing, but it's not Exy. It's called WeMoney.
Right.
And you can do quite a lot on it for free, to be honest, right? I wanted the subscription, which was, I don't know, 40 or 70 bucks a year, like not exorbitant, because I wanted to download spreadsheets, right? So that I could then calculate. But what that does is it allocates, like it shows you all the subscriptions. It shows you all the recurring expenses, because if you're like me, you pay a lot through PayPal and that's like a whole twilight zone.
Oh, yes.
So, and I always tell, so I teach entrepreneurship part-time and I always tell my students, go for a subscription model because you'll get people like me that subscribe and forget. Right? Literally this repeats. So you got to look at all
do it. We all do it.
WeMoney's good. I mean, there's another one called Frollo. I didn't like it as much.
Yeah.
But, there's tools out there. This is why I'm saying it's so much easier to help you just have a look at where your money's going. And you'll be surprised. Like I was shocked at how many subscriptions I had that I didn't even realize I had. I do a backtrack on that too, and I think it's and this could be another. This could open up another can of worms with regards to financials. We're looking at doing stuff like that, but people are very scared to go online. I know I've been getting sent scam emails all the time. It does your head in a lot too, and that's another thing. You go, oh yeah, it's another scam email. But, you worry about how much money you're making for retirement, which we're being legit. But then you've got to put up with local, current bullshit like this. And it's, it opens up such a can of worms, doesn't it? It really does. And, I think, I've always been in jobs that have paid quite well. And just the last couple of years, I've just been freelancing again, and I don't want to work full time because I'm doing the PhD. And the teaching work wasn't cutting it. Like I wasn't making enough money to survive, right? Just by teaching. And because teaching is also contract, and then, there's breaks all throughout the year where you don't get paid. And so I had to go, okay, well, what do I do? And I just didn't find a part-time job that was right for me. So I ended up going on a platform called Like Family, which I'd been on after my mum died, as a carer. So I'm now working like 6 nights a week, but I am so happy doing what I'm doing. I'm caring for a 39-year-old with tiny intellectual disability, really smart guy. But I had to do, like, do you know what I mean? I have to pull together, and I know
Yes.
even full-time workers are doing that, getting a side hustle to be able to
Well,
cope.
look at this side hustle that's happening in Victoria now. They're going to pay. You got to pay bloody land tax on it because if you
So
oh
yeah, so
look, okay, I'm going to ask you a question because you've been in the highest level. Okay, let's be blunt here. What the hell? I mean,
people aren't thinking like, so politicians don't think about people that are freelancers. No one thinks about them because no one's in Parliament lobbying for them,
okay.
right? So they look after themselves, they look after the bureaucrats, they look after the judiciary, and we can see that now because we can see that 3 million super tax, right, is not, they've excluded politicians, judiciary, and bureaucrats. I mean, what the really, right? It's just insane. So they're looking after themselves, and they look at the workforce, right? When superannuation was constructed, people were working in full-time jobs, and they didn't even think of the women's, right? They didn't even think of the women that take time out, whatever. So since then, work is not that stable for people, and people are being made redundant at the peak of their career. Politicians don't think about that. They're not thinking who's going to have enough super, and Jesus, look, it looks like the middle class is slipping into poverty and retirement. So what the data tells me as well is that right now there may be about 20-30% of boomers that don't own their own homes, so they're renters. My generation, Gen X, is going to be more, probably 35%, 40%, and it's just going to keep growing because who the hell can buy a house? And given that housing is fundamental and calculated as part of your retirement, so that's 700-800 grand you need if you own your own home outright. So
the solution is pretty much like from day one right now as we're talking, the solution for us is, okay, you've just got to sit down and go and take a deep breath and go, right, where am I going in the next year? With regards to what am I paying? What have I got? You've really got to sit down and say
what's going out and what's coming in. So I spend a lot of time looking at what's going out, and then I realize the one part-time, it's not even part-time, but one short job wasn't cutting it. So I had to take on another job so that I could just, have enough. I don't really need a lot either, but, I needed more than just that. So you work out your income and then you cut your expenses based on that, right? Like I'm not earning the money that I'm earning, yet I'm still behaving as if I'm earning that money, right? So I've got to go, no, you're not in that position anymore. So do you really need all of these expenses, right? So it's expenses versus income, and then a budget, right? I have never budgeted in my life because I've been lucky not to have to, and now I really have to budget. So the budget is like, again, like how much money do I need to put into my super the next 5 years? Given that I'm freelancer and I'm going to have to do that myself.
Do you, okay,
I've still got to pay a mortgage, right? So I've still got that responsibility. I'm not free. And, and I've just got to keep a budget in check so that I'm not overspending. The
thing is, I think back in the 30s, I think when the mass migration came, there was a lot of people who bought houses together to get themselves up. It's going back to the 1930s, really, isn't it?
I think it's necessity, right? If housing is so important, and we've got this backlog of people trying to get into social housing, right? So a whole lot of people, 10-year wait lists in New South Wales for social housing. So there's no social housing for the people that absolutely need it, and now there's going to be a whole lot more people. I did a post on Twitter that went viral, which was a friend of mine is renting a 1-bedroom apartment in Bondi Junction, $400 a week. She is 72 and on the single age pension.
That's what you were saying that last time. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And that's a charity. That's through a charity. So that's apparently affordable housing. And I'm just sitting there going, $400 a week for a 1-bedroom. Like, I mean, I don't care where it is. I mean, the woman is 72. She's retired. She's on the age pension, the single age pension. So, you know, that went off because people were like, oh my God, and how dare charities do this? And it is. You just go, how? How can this be real? Like, she barely has enough money to live, and she's only fortunate because she's got sisters that support her. If she didn't have that, she wouldn't be able to eat. Like, and if she has a health condition, good luck. It's just, you know, and that's what I'm saying. This woman who is one of the inspirations of my PhD 20 years ago was on 200 grand. She was married. She had owned a home. She had an investment property. And the trajectory of her life just went sideways, divorce, redundancy, supported.
Like, you know what? I'll be honest with you. It's like I saw a post, saw a couple of posts, and let's get reality. It's a privilege to have a kid, right? It's like, oh, we might have a kid because we can afford it. I mean, you know,
never afford a kid, mate.
You can't even afford to have kids, right? Which is fine.
You never could. I remember having this conversation with someone.
Oh, okay, let's go with it.
My husband and I, right? My son's 32.
Okay.
Right? So maybe 35 years ago, I said to someone, oh, no, we can't afford it. We need to buy a house first, or we need to do this first, or whatever. And this guy looked at me and he said, you're never ready. You're never going to have enough. So do you know what I mean? I ended up we didn't have squat when we had my son. We were renting in Bondi and my son's 32. And then we had my daughter, she's 27.
Yeah.
You know, like, it was hard even then as a couple, right, to buy a home and all of that. It wasn't as hard as it is now, but it was difficult. Then we get divorced, right? So then that all goes to shit and we both have to start again. And especially me realizing at that point in time, I was in my 30s, okay, I may be single forever, so I better look after myself. Like, I have to put myself in this mindset that I have to own my own home and look after my own super. There's no economies of scale in my life at this stage. And there hasn't been, and I'm really grateful that I can look after myself, you know, but I've also been lucky, and I don't want to
wouldn't that be a human right, though?
That, right? My parents died and left me money to be able to kill my mortgage, right? I have a tiny mortgage now, and if my parents didn't pass, I would have been screwed. I would have had to have sold this house a couple of years ago, a whole lot of stuff, right? So I'm really, really grateful of the circumstances in my life, and I miss my parents terribly, but they were 90 and 93. They lived, you know, long lives. But I don't want to underscore or underemphasize this enough, you know, that I was lucky that I could pay off a $700,000 mortgage, right? When I was earning 200 grand, that was nothing. But when I was earning, you know, 60 or 40 grand, how do you pay that? You can't. So
it's even the options of, you know, portable housing and all those kind of things. I've had a few people say, what about mobile homes and all that? But you're still paying the land tax. You still have to rent somewhere to put it, and it's still a pain in the ass to move it.
People whose parents have houses with property end up, you know, building a tiny whatever. Like, you know, there are a lot of, but I know, you know, Auntie Ezza talks a lot about, she's got plenty of land. She would love to build.
Yeah, she was saying last time on the last live.
But, you know, councils and government makes it so difficult. And you go, like, why? We are in a housing crisis. Anyone with land should be able to put something on there and not be penalised for it. You know, the other thing is, I know Allegra Spender was looking into it because she's doing a lot on tax reform, is she was looking into, say, older people having a spare room.
Is she on TikTok there, Annie?
I think so. She's definitely on Instagram.
Allegra Spender, is it?
Yeah, she's the member for Wentworth. And she's done a lot on tax reform, and she, you know, she understands that there's older people who have these spare rooms who would rent them out with security and safety, but don't want to lose their pension.
But I heard, especially during the campaign, when I did the lives with Jared Rennick and that, there's every possibility that they'll get to a point where if you've got a spare room in your house, they'll probably tax that too.
Probably.
Like,
Well, I mean, they do it in public housing, or they started to do it in public housing.
okay, it's
So
yeah. Look,
because that's public housing, right? And people were living in 4-bedroom houses and only occupying one room or whatever. So, but yeah, I think eventually they may have to do it because we do have a high under occupancy in housing in Australia.
yeah, because people look. I think,
and
look,
it's why, Jay, it's because they can't downsize, right? So I think about it, right? I'm in a 2-story, 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom townhouse.
okay,
Right? And it's fine for now. I'm 59. But I remember, my parents in their 80s started to have trouble with stairs and shit like that. So I have to be mindful, right? Can I stay here until I die? Probably not. So I have to think, okay, I've lived here by then. I may have lived here for 30 years. Where am I going to go with this, with a single person downsizing from this place? I mean, sure, I'll get a shit ton of money for it, but I probably won't even be able to buy a 1-bedroom in this area for the same amount of money.
yeah, look, it's out of control. I think a lot of people. I know a lot of people who are actually leaving the country because it's just and you do not blame them in a way. But the solutions would be, look, as I said, investment wise, and number one, what you said, be aware of your finances and super. That's obvious. I mean, the Channel 9.
Aware of those little bits of shares that you may have had, Woolworths or whatever, over the years that you may have forgotten about, right? But those things now may be worth a lot more than what you think, and you may be able to redirect it, right? Like, what I know is really important in investment is to diversify your investments, not to rely on one.
Don't rely on one. I mean, that's what I've done the same thing with mine.
Yeah.
And as I said, I mean, and this is all choice, ladies and gentlemen. As I said, Robin Hood effect choice. Look, I've got gold, silver, and crypto for my investments, for wealth, for my retirement.
Yeah.
I mean, human rights, man, common law. We can talk about that later on. We'll probably get my mate Johnny, on there to come on talk about common law and stuff later on. But this is why we do our lives, ladies and gentlemen, just for awareness, So look at that. Everyone says, "Oh yeah, look at your expenses and all that." Yeah, that's absolutely fine. But look, how about we just go under the situation of being aware of everything? Go, right, hang on, I'm stressed. What's stressing me? Money. What's going on? There's a situation, like we're in different situations to everyone else. And I'll tell you right now, the big problem is, Annie, I think another big problem is consumerism. I don't mind consumerism, but again, money fingers have got into it. And again, we're shifting the money to the taxes instead of small business. And if we even and it won't happen because the minions will say, "Oh yeah, we can't do this." But if you shift it to income tax or whatever, even talk about tariffs and all that, we can even go that far. Just for the info, gas and all those other things getting taxed when we sell them off, and then the money that we get back we put into roads and education and all those things, which should be free under common law. But just being aware of all that, of what you're doing, and look at gold, silver, crypto. You can look at all that stuff, but do your own research. And consumerism, trying to be better than the Joneses, Annie. I've said that for years.
I've never really cared about that stuff, to be honest, but
you can see why. You can see what's happening, though.
I mean, yeah, and I just think, just sort of get a grip on your own lifestyle, make choices. Like, for example, I don't drink alcohol, so I don't have that expense of going out.
Me too.
So that's like a whole lot of money that I put to other things like the gym, and I pay a class pass once a month. I think it's $70, and that's my contribution to my health because I don't go out and spend $70 on alcohol.
That's right.
Right?
I still can't get, Annie. I mean, I go out here and there because I'm in the band scene and stuff. I still can't believe people are actually the cost of drinks because they put taxes on the pubs. This is what people have to understand, and I think there's a fight for money, especially in entertainment, where you go, okay, you want people through the door because they'll spend money on grog, but you have to pay the entertainers because they have to be a draw. You can't just have any anyone, which would be great. People can go and play, but if you're not drawing, what's the point? They won't put you on because you're not bringing money in. And it's come to the point where it's okay. You know, I understand that's a business, but it's come to a point where it's, you know, closed off the market a lot, but then it sort of tunnels it again, and it's, I don't know. It's just, it's so hard. I mean, so many pubs have gone bust, Danny, in Collingwood.
Oh, businesses are going down. Chrissy just said, I'm building a unit behind my mum's old house.
I saw that, yes. So I do apologise, Chrissy.
I love that. And that's seriously what we got to do.
Sorry about that, Chrissy.
I didn't see an article where siblings are, you know, putting money together so they can get into the market. You know, buying something.
But you know, you see all these. Okay, I'm going to throw you a bit of a fact that I heard a few times, that it's foreign investment that's killing the country because they're allowing so many people to buy up land here, and that's like immigration as such. That's like foreign investment buying investment properties.
And that's been going on since the 80s.
Yes,
or even 70s, right? Like, Australia's so dumb.
Do you think it's increased?
Overseas, you can't do that. We can't just go to Thailand and buy some land. No, you can't. Whereas in Australia, people could do that. And we are so dumb. We've given away our land, our farming land, our property, you know, and that is also a problem. The other one that people don't talk about, and really they hate talking about it, and I don't know why, apart from the fact that they may have an Airbnb, is Airbnb. That wiped out a whole lot of affordable housing from the market. It doesn't exist because it's used as short-term rentals.
Look, I think it's great to have the conversations. And look, as I said, getting out of the solutions today is to actually just wake up and do a few things and do some investigations into what's actually happening out there. Like we have, we have we have expertise in life of what's happened to us, and that's what you've got to remember yourself. Just remember every experience that you have, okay? And then you can't blow that off.
Yes.
I want to do a big shout out to our friends and supporters at Liberty Bullion. Sammy and the team are the best gold, silver and platinum traders in Australia. Make good choices, give them a call. Back to the show.
Position like Chrissy, where mum's got enough land, then, you know, try and see if you can utilize that and build something on that. If you've got a good relationship with cousins or brothers or friends or whatever, then think about doing that, especially if you're in your 30s, because you can buy something together and not have to live in it, or maybe you do live in it, but you've got years before you have to sell, right? So that everyone's got a piece of it. And that's what I'm thinking. Like super, I'm not really sure what's going to happen there, because Jared Rennick said some things that really sort of had an impact on me. And that is that there's less people paying into super, right? Because we've got an aging population. Yep. If there's less people paying into super, how safe is your super when you're ready to take it out? Is there going to be enough there in the future? Not now. I mean, there's trillions in it now. But if you think that in 2030, over 65s outnumber under 18s in Australia, and 180,000 Australians will be retiring each year from 2030 onwards, that's 5 years away. Right? So you have to go, okay, I don't even know how safe it is. I'm in Commonwealth Super, so I believe that that's safe. But I also have an Aware Super, and I hope that that's safe. But you were telling me one of the super funds went bust and lost all of them.
This is what I was going to say. The First Guardian superannuation scheme, or the business, they actually went bust, or they lost $500 million worth of people's super. And I think about 6,000 people are going to be affected by that. So who's to say that all these super funds, you know, it doesn't matter how big they are, how many hacks and the banks are getting hacked, Annie. I mean, how safe is it? I mean, this is why I keep pushing about commodities, really seriously looking at some commodities that you have on you, or somewhere safe that you can go, that money's there, and that money can be processed into physical money that you need to live. I mean, it's probably someone safer than being online. I always say one click and you're gone.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think there's so much to be concerned about these days. But yeah, I'd be thinking, you know, how can I create as much wealth, if you call it that, or let's call it stability in my life. It's not wealth, because you're not buying 20
that's a good way
right?
of putting it. Yes.
So, like, how can I have some level of security in my life and stability? And what do I need to do between now and retirement? So for me, it's 5.5 years, right? That's like that. So I don't have 20 years. I don't have 30 years.
Yep.
You know, and of course, like, I don't have to stop working at 65. You know, I just want a freaking break. I just want to be able to exhale. I just want
enjoy the life, Annie. We can go away and have a look at some other countries and all that stuff.
I don't even want to travel much overseas. I want to travel Australia again on my own. You know, I really want to go and visit people.
Yep.
You know, and do stuff like that. But at the moment, I just can't see a way through it until I work out my finances, right? Which has been really, really hard because I've never had to. You know, I've got an accountant, by the way. It's not that. It's like, you know, I've just never had so little money to worry about because I've always had so much. So, you know, also think about that, right? Like, that started to happen to me in my late 50s or mid 50s, you know, where, you know, I was underemployed or whatever. So, you know, think about things like that. And you know what? A lot of people are ditching full-time work anyway because it just sucks dog's balls. So a lot of people want to work.
Not wrong.
Right. So, you know, I've kind of looked at my schedule at the moment, and I'm working Monday to Friday nights, basically Sunday to Friday nights at the moment. And I thought, wow, I'm really tired. And then I thought, you know what? Shut up, Anne-Marie. This is awesome. This is awesome because look at what I can do at 7 a.m. Right? If I was working in a day job, no way would I be able to do this. Right now, I can pretty much relax today, and then I start working tonight at like 3 o'clock. I go across to the college and I start preparing for my evening at the college, and then I'm there till 8:30. So, you know what I mean? It's not terrible for me. Like, I wish it was more money, but don't we all? Right? At the moment, it's good, and it's like shift work, right? It's bizarre because it's like shift work.
I used to be like that myself. I feel like
it's nighttime work. Like, I don't get home till 9 or 9:30, and then you can't get to sleep when you've been wound up teaching people and rah rah rah.
Oh yeah, you wouldn't go to bed till 12 midnight.
Yeah, so it was hard to get up this morning, but I can, and I can rest today, and I can do my washing and all of that. So, you know, I think it's also about the quality of life. You know, we really need to do that, especially right in your 40s and 50s, because the health that you have at that stage will impact the health that you have as you get older. So if you start to have, you need to deal with your health in your 40s,
yes,
so that you can build your strength, or you can deal with your cholesterol or whatever. Get that stuff handled, because that's less of an expense when you get older, because if you're sick, there's medication, there's doctors and all that stuff, which is an expense that really isn't well considered in retirement income. So stay healthy. And, you know, it doesn't mean you have to join a gym. It just means forcing yourself to go for a walk, right? 10,000 steps a day is brilliant for everyone. I don't do that much, but if you're not with a gym or whatever, take 10,000 steps a day. Do chair yoga. I've got a girlfriend that's right into chair yoga because she can't walk that much at the moment.
I do DDP yoga, and we've got our programs that we do have chair programs. They have, you know, different styles where you can either sit down, you can stand up. If you've got injuries, we've got so many different programs than the ones that I do. But I think
stuff online free. Grassy Hopper, I love what you're saying. Yes, it's not all about money, and we weren't brought into this world to work and die. It just seems like crazy, right? We need to enjoy life a little bit as well.
Okay, so here's a good question. Baxter 25, thanks very much for jumping on board, my friend. Everyone's concerned about the economic situation, but how do we stand up and take back control? I'll answer that one on my behalf. Starting conversations like this for starters, because I think the big thing I've found in the last 6 to 12 months, my friend, is a lot of people do want to stand up, but they don't know how. Yeah. And I think the first thing to do is, and I believe this, Baxter, is having a voice. And this is why Annie and I are doing what we're doing, to educate, to get you on. I get people like you on board. Okay, I'm going to speak up about this. I'm going to start following people who are looking for freedom. You know, they have ideas, whether it be for health, wealth, financial gain, or physical, spiritual, or any type of health that you are concerned. And then what I found is I found my voice, and then I started attracting the right people. My belief is if we have more people coming on board with a group of people, like say me and Annie, for example, then we meet more people, we get more people involved with our panels, and then they'll start spreading the word. So we have to have a group, because a lot of people are scared out there, my friend, and I think this is why I think that the misinformation bill and the social media ban was happened. I mean, I can say that I've been shadowed. I'll talk about that later, but focusing in on the solution, which we're doing, is having a voice on it and being careful, of course, because, you know, everyone's watching, but attracting the right people, doing the right panels, and then you get those people like the spiritual accountant, Abby. I want to say hello to her. She's on here. She's fantastic. I said to her, would you like to come on? She'd love to. There's a few other people overseas that are talking more about the spiritual side. It might not be your cup of tea, but it might be a couple of words that might inspire you to say, hang on, what's going on here that I can help someone with? If you got the service thing there, you can help others like we're doing with our voice. That's the way to start, my friend, I think. And that's just the way we've got to start it at the moment, because I don't think we've got any other way of doing it, but, you know, using these platforms to get info out.
Right? Rennick came out with a whole lot of policies that were actually quite good. Who's going to pursue them now? He's not in Parliament anymore, right? Like, so the one that I really like that Arnie Ezi always talked about as well was the accessing your super to pay off or pay down your mortgage or to purchase a home, right? So things like that, we've got to keep pressing, right? We've just got to keep pressing on the politicians to do that stuff or to look into that stuff.
This is where
Grassy Hopper, I love that. We're spiritual beings having a human experience.
Oh, we are so as a grasshopper, grassy hopper. We are having that, and this is what we have to. Hang on, here we go. Yeah, exactly, my friend. Yeah, I know, Baxter. I agree. I was part of that full on with Maddie and Jared, and yeah, we got hit. But I think what we have to do, my friend, is just at the grassroots level, and I encourage you to do it. Exactly what I did is just speak your truth, my friend, and then we all just come together. And I think by that time we all come together.
Thanks, Paulie.
Sage Smoky, but yeah, I love you, Paulie. Thanks so much, my friend. Thanks so much for everyone for commenting. And, you know, Baxter, now, look, we're friends, my friend, and I hope we can, you know, together just have a voice. I think that's the best. That's the best at the moment we can do. Don't get me wrong. There's obviously more we can do. And yes, we have. Yeah, we know the spiritual accountant. I interviewed her on my channel, Remove the Mask, Write the Story, on Spotify. So you want to have a look at that. The link's in the bio. But this is what we're doing. We wouldn't have got together because of Jared and Maddie, and that they've come together and they got us, and then we've met. We've got a big affiliation with, you know, Future, Super, all those kind of things. So I encourage you to do that, Baxter. That'd be awesome, my friend.
And look, you know, I think, you know, just as Jay just said, like, we've just got to keep talking about this stuff, you know, supporting each other. If you know someone, like, tag them into this, share this with them. You know, we just need to stick together. And I hate to bring it back to politics, right? But we've just had the federal election, so there's not going to be another one for 3 years, unfortunately. But there's a whole bunch of state elections happening, right? So New South Wales is next year. I don't know. I think, you know, whatever. So that's, you know, keep in check with what's happening. Victoria's being smashed with taxes, you know, individuals, businesses, like, it's just, but every state is. So, you know, we've got a voice at the election to be able to, you know, do something at least at the state level. And then we've got to wait another few years before we have the federal election again. And we have to think, who are the politicians we can talk to? So Rennick should probably be saying, well, these are the politicians that you should talk to now, because he's not there. That's
Yeah,
what I'd like
well,
to see anyway.
Senator
Who should we
Babbitt,
go to?
Senator Babbitt, he's pretty good. Can I just answer this question? Sorry to cut you off there, Annie.
Yeah.
All the politicians deny the 28. Yeah, Grassy Hopper, thanks again for your comment. Yeah, yeah, exactly, mate. But I think the thing is, this is how, and it's a hard way to look at it. Keeping them accountable, but if we don't give them energy and we give ourselves energy with all what we're doing and give people information, that's the start we've got to do, because that's as much power we've got at the moment. And the other thing is holding the government accountable. What was the other thing? Just have to have a look at this one. Let me just think. Sorry. Okay, what I need people to do is go on to Hood Law. A friend of mine, he's got a lot of information with regards to legalities, self-litigating, and he knows a lot about the law of the land. I'll leave it at that. If you look on his profile, he'll give you a lot of information. You can even shoot him a message, and he is very knowledgeable in this area. We'll call it the rising, or however you want to put it. I don't know. Or just the information. The information era, if you want to put it that way. What do you think, Annie?
Paulie's saying, Baxter's saying, can you put the name in the chat?
Can do. All right. I'll just put it next to Baxter here. Reply. Okay. So I'll write a couple of people down there for you, Baxter. There we go. Look up Hood Law on TikTok. He'll and he's always on X too. We'll probably end up moving over to X, I think, Annie, because I'll have a chat to you afterwards about what's happening, what I believe is happening anyway. Censorship at its best. But it is what it is. What have you? Okay, just one more. Johnny stay in the van back in Canberra when we had to convoy. Oh, okay. Okay, so you know who he is. Cool. That's great. What do you got? Some final words there, Annie, before we go and enjoy our day? Because another day on Earth, we're going to be grateful that we're breathing.
And look, we're alive. Don't underestimate the importance of nature, grounding yourself, going out, going for a walk, breathing. It is really, really tough times for people right now. And if you can help someone, like I'm trying to help my kids, my daughter especially, because she's single and she's renting. So I take her out shopping once a week or once a fortnight and pay for her groceries. Mind you, I'm really happy to do that. It's also spending time with her, which I love. But just sort of think about things like that. Like, if you've got a sibling that's, maybe doing a little tough, and, you're not a failure if you've lost your job. You're not a failure if you're not earning shit tons of money. It's really, really tough times out there. And the best thing that you can do is, and we're assuming people have superannuation, Jay. We're assuming people have, right? Because if you've been on a pension your whole life, you're not going to have any super. So, yeah, for those people that have superannuation, do check into it. Have a look at, what the amounts are. Even talk to your super and see, whether it can be better invested or whatever.
Yep.
And have a look at all these bits and pieces, right? So like I said, my financial advisor found about 10 grand of little shares here and there that I can consolidate and put somewhere else now, or keep it separate, whatever. But, it's money that I had forgotten was there because it's tied up in shares.
Yep.
So, do things like that. And remember, you are souls. You are ultimately souls. We are here not just to work and die, but we're here to engage with each other. We're here to fight for each other, which I think is what we're doing, by doing programs like this.
Yeah.
Bring out that awareness. I think, a few of you have said, oh, yeah, people are asleep here, they're in a coma. Well, some people are and some people aren't. We just got to keep going.
No, this is exactly right. This is exactly right. So, on that note, we'll go and enjoy it. Guys, just be blessed that you're on this.
Sorry,
keep going. Sorry about that.
I got told a big super company just went belly up. We'll be looking to find out more about that. Yes, Jay, you looked that up.
Yeah, I did. It's the first Guardian that went up. I saw an advert on there. So there was about $500 million that was lost and went belly up. So we were just talking about how scary, how scary it could be. So it's just one of those things that we have to understand that it could happen. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. We just, as I said, we have a chat, and we're excited about just putting the info out there. This is not scripted. You know, there might be a bit of waffle in there, but again, we're just having the conversations. That's basically it. And but thank you so much for everyone who's been involved in it, and we'll be back next month. Hopefully, we'll get a couple of guests on, and we'll have a chat, and we'll see how we go from there.
Keep asking, and then Jay will find the right person to answer them.
I'll do my best. We'll see how we go. Thanks very much, Annie. We'll take care, and
thank you so much.
Live your best life, and be the best there is, best there was, best ever will be, and we'll talk very soon.
Thank you.
Have you got a story to share? The experiences that you went through those dark times need to be told, need to be heard. The teachings, the lessons. I know when I had a stroke scare that it changed my life. My name's Jay from Journey of a Whitefeather, and I run a show on Spotify and all good platforms called A Chat with Jay. I talk to normal everyday people who have had experiences that need to share their teachings with the world. I speak to celebrities who are there, who can give you advice how to become a better person. Bruce Buffer, the Kings of Disco, Blackie Lawless from Wasp. So many people, but I love talking to the normal everyday person that gets up every morning to be their best self. If you want to be a guest, whitewarriorhealth@gmail.com. Check out our socials, #JayStephenson, #Journey of a Whitefeather. Take care, and always be the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be.